About to go short on NASDAQ here. Entering off of a 15-second SIBI. And we are targeting 12 p.m. lunch lows at 30,238.5. So if you look at price at this point, if you look at the higher time frames, the only thing that was bullish for me was the 4 hour. You can make a case that the daily was bullish. Obviously, you're bullish for the day. But on the 4 hour, we had taken out the New York afternoon session high at 2 p.m. So I see that as you know, us running a session high, so that's important for me, something I take note of. And we have these like long wicks. We have a rejection block actually on the 1 hour. And we essentially were looking at a pretty bearish candle on the 1 hour. So when I drop down to the 5 hour, you kind of see this, the 5 minute, you see this consolidation and us really failing to push up. And yeah, so it looked bearish for me. We had a bearish order block on the 5 minute, as well as a 5 minute bearish fair value gap that we had traded out of. So I saw that as bearish. So yeah, kind of doing a top-down approach in terms of figuring out where price would want to most likely go directionally. And I dropped down to a 15-second. It was the cleanest time frame on the sub 1 minutes. Entered short, and for myself, the next logical place that price would want to run would be the 12 p.m. lows. Another session key level, so that was the next area that I figured price would want to dig into. And that was also the start of the 11 hourly BISI. So a lot of sell side in that area that I would want to see price revisit. So at this point in the trade, everything is still looking in my favor. The sub 1 minutes are complete waterfall down, like super aggressive bearish price action. Everything's still looking aligned on the higher time frames. The 5 minute looks highly in my favor. The 5 minute essentially looks like the start of a market maker sell model. So, and the next logical fair value gap that was near there, you had that, but you also had a BISI on the 5 minute that was directly not too far above the 12 p.m. lunch low of 32.38.5. So we're nearing also the start of the macro, next macro, and normally I would wait for this macro. I would wait for this macro to kind of play out, but everything just looked so bearish. I figured that at the start of that 850, 910 macro, price would need to run some type of low before reversing or seeking higher prices, and just everything looks so bearish that it was just the next logical bus stop that price would want to stop at. And also I'm thinking at this point, I like to keep track of time, because it's time and then price. So I'm keeping an eye at this macro. I want to see how we react here. At this point, I remove my risk because just in case it's that start of the macro, we might, price might move back up into that 15-second SIBI before moving back down, or potentially reach all the way up to that 5-minute order block. So I'm just protecting my downside here, remove my risk completely, and just let the trade play out. See how we do. But I'm pretty certain once we had that aggressive down close candle after the start of the macro, that price was going to continue down. And again, everything on the higher time frame was in alignment. The sub 1 minutes were in alignment. On the sub 1 minutes, you were getting these like almost like false rallies. Like nothing was kind of clear. You had no clear bearish PD arrays forming. So that gave me more assurance that we were going to continue lower. Knock a little bit more profit. And that's it. So she wrote.